Although Judy was nominated for an Oscar, she didn't get it. Depressed, she and Sid left the Hollywood scene for the French Riviera. The south of France was meant to be a holiday away from it all, but it simply turned into a monumental binge.
She was becoming, by this time, very violent because she was drinking and also taking pills. She didn't really, I think, know what she was doing, but she was doing it, and she was doing it a lot, and she was doing it often.
So often that one night she had to be taken to a French psychiatric clinic. Although she was used to hospitals, this one was very different. She ended up strapped to a table. The French medical report revealed a diagnosis of psychotic.
Psychotic means that someone is just completely out of touch with reality. They may be hallucinating, it may be hearing voices or tactile hallucinations, which is they feel their skin is crawling.
A psychotic episode usually indicates an underlying mental illness.
She was clearly suffering from what we would now call bipolar illness. She was manic-depressive.
But the case for a mental disorder is too difficult to determine. Years of drug abuse can mimic the symptoms of bipolar disorder, so it's quite possible it was the pills that were literally driving her crazy.
The barbiturate is a sedative, a depressant. The amphetamine is speed, and so that back and forth would definitely mimic bipolar disorder when someone's using very high doses of these medications, that she could have been pushed to the point of a psychotic break and end up hospitalized and strapped down.
Did Judy Garland have both a drug problem and a mental disorder?
Something we call concurrent disorders now, which is someone who has a substance use problem and a mental health problem. And it would be very difficult to say for her if she did, because she started so young on the substances.
Though there's no way of telling, the demented behavior continued. One night, the drug-crazed violence spilt out onto the street when Sid went through a red light.
Sid was driving, they had an accident, and the police obviously came to the scene of the accident. Judy fought the police, and she fought with Sid and with everybody who came to try to help them. They found a gun in the glove compartment.
Sid was charged with possession of an unregistered firearm. Although the charges were later dropped, the papers had a field day.
She was by this time virtually unemployable. It was Sid who kept it. He would dust her off, straighten her up, put her back out there.
Sid's next move was a smart one. He booked Judy into the great concert halls of Europe.
Judy was always from another world. She was from the world of live audience. That's why it was so brilliant of Sid Luft to get her back to it.
Still washing down the pills, the tour was nevertheless enormously successful.
The prevailing thought was that she couldn't perform without it, but I actually look at it as it's absolutely amazing that she could perform and to the level that she did with all of those chemicals in her system at that point.
Riding the new wave in Judy's career, Sid turned his eye back to the US. In America, television entertainment was the new thing. But the medium was intimidating. The shows rehearsed all day and went out live across the country with all the critics watching. Once again, Judy was scared and propped up by chemical courage.
Sid negotiated a very good deal, although the network was very, very nervous, for obvious reasons, that Judy wasn't going to be able to do it.
And she almost didn't. On the morning of the transmission, Judy was reportedly so doped up, Sid had to drag her semi-conscious into the shower. But that evening, she performed brilliantly.
People who thought she was dead, if not exactly dead, certainly retired, remembered how wonderful she had been. And what television was able to do with Judy was to show again that extraordinary cabaret presence.
On the 29th of March 1955, she had another child, a boy, Joey Luft, and she was back on track with a successful television career. But as the 1960s approached, the genie in the bottle once again threatened to blow it all away. The 1960s brought a whole new pharmaceutical menu to Judy Garland. Whilst pursuing a television career, she was also taking a cocktail of Nembutal, Seconal, Tuinal, Demerol, Dexamil, and vodka. Relations with her husband Sid were deteriorating rapidly. One night she performed with her old friend Mickey Rooney. Backstage was awash with booze.
She said, "So come on, make have one with me." And I said, "No, thank you." And not that I haven't ever had drinks in my life, but I think everybody tries to dabble in that. And then you find out that isn't for you and you let it go.
But Judy couldn't let it go. Her behavior was more and more erratic. Paranoia and hallucinations had become a part of her life. Sid left, and on one occasion, she even attacked her own son.
When she had taken a great many drugs, she wasn't under control at all. And she would become angry in such an irrational way that on one occasion she chased little Joey until he ran out into the streets of Manhattan.
She would have been so out of touch with actual reality that no, she probably would not have recognized that this is her son, and that would not be a surprise with the long-term use of the substances.
She's having toxic reactions to the drinking and the drugs. She's not taking care of herself physically, so it would be understandable that she would be hallucinating, she would be having paranoid delusions.
The final unraveling of Judy Garland started more than 7,000 miles from home. Her new manager, Mark Herron, had arranged a tour of Australia. In Melbourne, she arrived 2 hours late, completely exhausted, and was booed off stage.
This was the first of this kind of devastating performance where her audience turned against her. She lived for the applause, and this was a real turning point for her in terms of her realizing that she could no longer manage to control her performances.
Whilst on a stopover in Hong Kong, Judy washed down handfuls of Tuinal and slipped into a deep coma. Her life now in the balance, she had to get to a hospital. But Mark Herron couldn't get an ambulance because the island had been hit by a typhoon.
He, in fact, wheeled her to a hospital in Hong Kong during a concert tour and a typhoon. The stories got more and more gothic. They also got more and more hysterical because she simply was out of control.
Once again, she narrowly escaped death.